2020 has been a devastating year for people who have lost loved ones. One of those is gospel singer Dr. Tumi. He took to Instagram this week to mourn the passing of his father, Pastor M.D. Magweya. Dr. Tumi joins us now live. Dr. Tumi, thank you so much for your time, and I do certainly hope that you can hear us this evening. Dr. Tumi, obviously 2020 has changed basically the face of the gospel industry, but also has cost many South Africans lives and livelihoods. You know, on behalf of Newzroom Afrika, I'd like to firstly say condolences to you for the passing of your relative. Talk to us about how 2020 has personally affected you.
Thank you so much for having me. Today, as we speak, was actually the day that I got to lay my father to rest. So he passed away this Monday. And I mean, it's the 31st, it's the last day of the year. One was thinking that, you know, we've been through the entire year and we had not lost any family member, but today we actually got to lay somebody very dear to us to rest. So 2020 has been one of those years that I think has turned a lot of lives upside down. The pandemic has really been such a big issue, and I think my feeling is we have not been paying as much attention, and the moment it's this close to home, maybe sometimes people start to realize that it is actually real. And but it's been with us. It's been with us, and it's been a difficult year for the country. It's been a difficult year for a lot of families, and I hope we take note and we take care so that we can protect ourselves and protect those that we love.
In fact, you attribute that your father was one of the people that brought you, you know, to change your career and take up music into the gospel industry. Now, this industry has certainly changed, you know, because of this pandemic. Last year and previous years, you would be entertaining now to many of your fans. You know, just how has the pandemic changed the face of the music industry and in particular the gospel industry?
I think it has affected us quite drastically. We have an annual gathering that we do. It's called the Gathering of Worshippers, which brings thousands of people together from all over the country and the continent. We could not have that event this year because of the pandemic, and it's something that we plan a year ahead. And we have really been hit the hardest, I think, within the gospel industry in that, unlike maybe clubs which were still functioning and people who would perform within the secular spaces, which would be clubs and parties which were happening throughout the year. But gospel events have been literally shut off for the entire year. So it's been a very difficult time for gospel musicians. And I think it just says we need to do better, even as a country, to make sure that we protect ourselves and get out of this space ultimately. And hopefully we will get back to some sort of normalcy again, where we can gather, meet again, fellowship with each other, and things can get back to a better state.
Now, as somebody who is known to have comforted many South Africans through your music, we know that a lot of South Africans are suffering in silence during this time. A lot of them cannot express exactly how they feel, and they've been psychologically affected by the pandemic, and not only in South Africa, but globally. But talk to us how you would want, what's the kind of message you would like to leave, you know, some of your fans that are finding it very difficult during this time, not only because they're seeing a lot of their loved ones, you know, suffering because of the virus itself, but also many have lost their livelihoods.
No, mental health is a real thing, and I think a lot of us don't pay attention to it. A lot of people have really had a difficult time at this point because what happens is they're locked up by themselves and there's nobody to talk to, and anxiety levels are going up. People are worried about livelihoods. People are worried about their jobs. people are worried about losing their loved ones. So there's just so much that's been happening over this period, over this entire period, and that's been such a painful thing. So I think so important is for people to talk. Find somebody to talk to. Find somebody that you can tell how you're feeling, and don't bottle feelings in, because when you do that, that's how it ends up blowing up. And if you need help, there's a lot of societies and communities that you can reach out to that would offer you counseling, and especially people who suffer from anxiety and any sort of mental health issues and difficulties. I think we all need to be vocal about what we're going through, but also be sensitive to one another. And when somebody is crying out, let's reach out and let's show Ubuntu and be there for one another. We really need each other at this very point to support each other. Check on your neighbors. Are they doing well? You know, give them a call your family members, make sure that everybody's well. But let's not be silent and die in silence. Talk to somebody.
Now, Dr. Tumi, another, sector that has suffered during this time is the healthcare workers sector. We know that a lot of our frontline workers are really, being affected by the pandemic themselves. We know that you've also offered your time as a medical doctor. You know, you've been a medical doctor before you moved on to gospel music, and you're spending a lot of time at the Tembisa Hospital, which specializes in the COVID-19 that unit. Speak to us about your take on how the healthcare workers have been affected during this time and how you are lending a hand.
I've spoken to a lot of healthcare workers. Sadly, they are afraid to, because I think when we are not managing the numbers, when it looks like we're losing battle, it becomes sad, and of course it means that they are also exposed. I earlier in the year I also got infected and tested positive for COVID. And of course, I took the right precautions to make sure that I protect the ones that I love until I was cleared. But having said that, it comes with a lot of fear for a lot of healthcare workers. It's a difficult time, and I think it's so important for the communities and our society to also think for them, and that means be responsible. Don't expose people, don't expose yourself, so that if you're staying at home and you're protecting yourself, you're protecting all those people who are also sacrificing their lives to make sure that they can be of assistance when there is any health issues. So I guess we need to really support our healthcare workers more, even during this period, by taking care.
All right, Dr. Tumi, thank you so much for your time this evening, and Happy New Year's Eve to you and to your family.